Hey guys, how are you? I hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I'm going to be doing a review of a war film from Australia. This is spoken a little bit in the English language and a little bit in the Japanese language. Released in the year 2013, directed by Aaron Wilson, and this film is called Canopy. So Canopy tells the story of this guy in the Australian Air Force in 1942, Singapore, when Australia were fighting against the Japanese. He's shot down and he is left stranded in the rainforest. So there are Japanese soldiers all over the place. They're trying to find people who have been shot down. So this Australian soldier has to manage to stay clear of detection and at the same time try and get to safety. He doesn't know how to do that. Then he comes across a fellow soldier. Now this fellow soldier is fighting against the Japanese as well. He's a Singapore soldier, and so they band together. There's a language barrier. They don't understand each other, so they just have to try and trust each other and try and get to that safety, and at the same time stay out of the dangerous clutches of the Japanese soldiers who are in the vicinity. So whether or not they can do that, that's something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on Canopy. A lot of people criticise this film, and I can understand why, because it really is an artistic film, and as far as an artistic value is concerned, I thought this was a masterpiece in the visuals. I thought it was just very beautiful, at the same time very harsh. You could feel the dilemma that this guy was in, the Australian soldier, and then the language barrier between these two newly introduced people trying to team together to stay out of the Japanese clutches. It's a very realistic film, so if you go into it expecting a typical war film, then you're going to be very disappointed with Canopy. So, I mean, the ambient sounds, you can hear, the creatures in the rainforest, you can hear the overhead planes going about, and it's just an assault on your senses, basically. And I thought for a good part of this film it worked, but unfortunately there were a lot of problems that I thought really downplayed the film. But as I said, I like the fact that it was taking a different approach, that it didn't have any dialogue, or next to no dialogue. I don't believe the main character, played by Khan Chittenden, I don't believe he actually said a word. So it was all down to his body language and how he was coping with certain situations. And then you've got the soldier from Singapore who spoke a little bit in a native language, but there are no subtitles, so you don't really know what's going on. It's storytelling done in an old-fashioned way. It's back to the days of silent films where it was all about body actions as opposed to actually hearing it. So for that, I can understand a lot of people disliking it. As I said, it's very, very visual. A lot of people will see this as pretentious, and I can understand that. This movie is a little bit pretentious for the simple fact that I thought it lingers on a little bit too long, especially at the start of the film. It's giving you an idea of the scenery and the overall situation that this Australian soldier is facing, but it goes on for a little bit too long, and that's the case with a lot of the film. It just lingers on a little bit longer than it should, and it's trying to show off the fact that it's trying something different. So unfortunately, as I said, with the film, visually it's absolutely outstanding, but it actually felt like one of those relaxation techniques that, if you're like me, you've got anxiety. I listen at night time to calm myself down to ambient noises, noises of water, noises of, animals in the distance, and that's exactly what this film actually felt like. It felt like a relaxation technique. And so when the movie wants to have suspense when the Japanese soldiers are around, because you're so relaxed and it's just relaxing you and you're kind of nodding off at some points I was nodding off. And so it doesn't capture that suspense because the overall mood doesn't have a mood that is fraught with danger. It feels like a very relaxing sort of experience. So I think that it contradicts the suspenseful moments that it wants to have. There are some moments where I thought, the Japanese soldiers are very close and that they have to hide and they're like holding their breath. And it just doesn't come across as suspenseful as it should have been because of the fact that not a lot's going on and there's no dialogue, and it's just basically looking at scenery for most of the film. So if you are familiar with relaxation techniques, and this movie is the best way I can sum it up, is that it just feels like it's just trying to relax you to the point where you're about to fall asleep. So that's the best way I can sum up the feel of this film. Khan Chittenden's acting wasn't very good. As I said, he doesn't talk, and it really required a strong performance to get the emotions across. But I just thought that he had the same facial expression throughout the entire movie. I didn't get any insight into what he was thinking. You couldn't feel that he really understood the situation that the movie wanted. Basically, the movie wanted the character to understand that he was in a lot of danger, but you never felt like this character really felt that. And so because of that, it doesn't get you on an emotional level. It is a movie about survival. It's a movie about what people will go to in order to, the strength of the human spirit. But you don't get that strength of the human spirit because I just thought it was dull, and it didn't strike you with anything that would revive you from a sleep. And so Yeah, that is the best way I can sum this movie up. It's just a relaxation technique that you watch it. If it's late at night, I wouldn't be surprised if you fell asleep a few times watching this film, because visually it's absolutely outstanding. The production of this film was fantastic, but it just doesn't have anything going for it. It's a tale of survival, but because everything is just so downplayed, it feels like it's just an exercise in self-indulgence, and it just feels like a very pretentious film that doesn't get the message across because of the fact there are a lot of contradicting elements that the movie has going for it. I thought the ending of the movie, it would have been better if it was left up to your own interpretation, but it kind of just, it tells you what's going on, and I didn't like that aspect of it. So at the end of it, I can understand a lot of people criticising this film. This was an Australian movie I was really looking forward to. I wanted to love the movie, but unfortunately there's just a lot more negative than there were positive. So overall for Canopy, going to give it 2 stars. 2 stars because it is very well made, but unfortunately it just didn't feel like it had a very solid plan, and the execution levels weren't as good as it needed to be. So it's disappointing. I'm not going to recommend this film. So yeah, don't bother going to see it. Alright guys, it's my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, watch movies, and I'll see you later. Bye.